You don't like your spinal processes attached as they currently are.
What did I do? I rode.
My goals have become a feeling rather than a thing.
I think it's not a sign of weakness to do that, actually.
I don't know everything in this situation, and I'm really working it out as I go.
They're either going to be very resonant with people or super random.
It's a disaster. The horses hate it.
I've tried to start the podcast like 3 times. It's like Santa trying to land his sleigh because it's the Christmas special. Well, I don't know.
It's chaos.
How's it going?
Oh, fine. How are you? What a day.
Yeah, good. I know. So we were thinking for this season that we really wanted to do a Christmas special, and we haven't had an episode in a really long time, actually, of just Miri and I. So for this episode, we're going to talk about some of our highlights from the year, some of the things that we've learned and things that we'll be letting go of and adding in 2026. And then we're going to do a little bit of a gift guide, some of our favourite things that we use or that we recommend. And then just kind of have a look ahead to the year ahead. Said ahead too many times. But yeah, it's going to be a cosy one, very sort of cup of tea worthy, and we hope you enjoy it.
Absolutely. I think, this podcast has really become something kind of like that, hasn't it, for everyone? The amount of feedback that we get now that's kind of like, it's like sitting down and having a cup of tea with your friends, and I'm grateful that we've become that, because I know that we are that for each other. Me and Rhi, actually, the other day, we were meant to be recording the podcast on Friday, but we hadn't really caught up, just us, in a while, and we hadn't had that long to catch up at the beginning of the last episode, so we were kind of like, we just had a phone call, and my goodness, did we have a lot to talk about. And I think that's what's really cool about this podcast, is it really was born from a friendship, and I hope it feels, you can tell when you listen, because, we care deeply about each other, and I think that's a really, really lovely thing. And we care deeply about you guys too, and the kind of messages that we receive these days, from people saying, I look forward to Wednesdays, and I don't feel so alone in the horse world anymore, and I feel like I've really found my people, because no one is judging and no one is saying things in a kind of hard way, which often, everybody knows better in the horse world. So I'm very grateful that we have become that. And yes, so I'm going to kick off by talking about some of my highlights, I suppose, this year. Some cool things basically that have happened or are going to happen or have finally culminated or whatever. And one of those has been the great relief of sharing that we're moving in 2026. And I think it is not going to be a very straightforward process. And even just today, the guy that I have the point of contact with gave me a bit of a, distressing, well, not distressing, but a kind of slightly longer time frame than we were expecting. So we were hoping that everything was going to happen in February. It's maybe now looking more like March. And I was talking to the girls in the yard about it. And the thing is I was hoping that it was going to be this kind of really structured and organised and lovely thing where we move all of this stuff and everything changes. And the reality is it's going to be a shocking mess, and it's going to have to be a shocking mess for a while, because I just don't think it's going to be a straightforward thing at all. And I think I've just got to be okay with that.
This is your grand designs. All you need is a Kevin McLeod.
Yeah, but someone needs to get pregnant, and I don't want to get pregnant quite yet. And then also there needs to be some sort of disaster with the glazing, doesn't there?
Yeah. If you end up living in a caravan, you'll have the triple threat: the pregnancy, the glazing, and the caravan.
Yeah. Oh my God. Have you seen? There's this guy on Instagram, and he does this thing where he does he's a spoof, and he's in every episode of Grand Designs, it's yes, and then Carol got pregnant. And then it's oh, yes, well, about 3 months into the project, Jessica did fall pregnant. And then there are all these guys, and it's the same man, but he's pretending to be multiple different men. And then he goes, yeah, it was about 6 weeks after Kevin visited, actually. And then it's this
yes,
sort of
I've
thing,
seen this.
It's a thing as if Kevin has come and impregnated all of these women when he visits. Anyway, it's very funny. But no, I really hope not. We don't have some sort of disastrous thing. But it's a very, very old house that we're moving into, and the reality of that is it's really complicated. And I explained actually on my most recent YouTube video, which I would love for you all to go and support, please, because please, it's hard work making YouTube videos. Thank you very much. Um, I explain a bit about how the logistics are working, basically, like because it's a rural tenancy, like it's like a farm tenancy essentially. It's quite like logistically complicated, and things like we can't move into the stables before we move into the house, and the house is incredibly old, and so the way they're doing things, like they've done things with like it's called limecrete and stuff, but it all takes ages to dry and stuff like that. Anyway, so yeah, the moving is going to be one of those things that has finally culminated, and we had hoped it would happen this year itself, but that's not been the reality, sadly. But even just the relief of telling everyone has been a big deal. So
Yeah. Are you planning to like do it? Because I know we've talked about this, but I wondered if it's changed. Are you planning to like do it all at once when you move, or are you gonna like move the horses, stay in your house, then move yourselves? Like, are you just gonna be like pull it all off, or just do it bit by bit?
I would really like to move into the house first, because I
Ah.
think I hope it will all happen within a couple of weeks, really, would be my plan. And it's just going to be hell for those couple of weeks. Did you know that they say that moving house is as stressful as getting a divorce?
I know you told me this, which is mental. I mean, actually, it's
Mm.
not because I can totally imagine that that is
Yeah.
actually really stressful.
It just isn't
But
sad, I suppose, because I imagine getting a divorce is sad. No matter, well, maybe not always, but most of the time it's probably a sad thing in some circumstances. This
yeah,
isn't sad. I mean, I will be slightly sad to leave the house I'm in, but not that sad. It's very small.
I well, I also think you're not just like not to add pressure, but you're not just like moving house. Like you're also it's stressful enough to move one horse, your horse. You have to move like an not an infinite number. That's a bit mental, but you have to move a lot of horses, all
Mm-hmm.
of their things, make sure that
Yeah.
they're settled, the whole house.
Imagine moving 14 stables worth of rubber matting.
Oh gosh, you're gonna have to do a rubber matting party. I'd come,
Okay.
you know.
Do you not like you don't like your spinal processes attached as they currently are?
I
Oh
remember we
God.
used to have to do that every summer at the hunt yard I
Mm.
worked on, and not only was the ammonia like pretty potent, but the
Mhm.
rubber matting, yeah, trying to move them, absolutely horrific.
Yeah, well, there is a very good tactic. So if you get a lead rope, and you need a second
Yeah.
person generally, but you have a lead rope, and you lay the lead rope in the middle of the rubber mat, and then flop the rubber mat over it, so the lead rope is like essentially in the middle, and then you pull them. They're not that bad to move in that way. And to be fair, my
Mm.
intention is he doesn't know this yet actually, but my hay guy has a forklift. And
Oh,
so my
nice.
plan is we'll just put them all onto a pallet or a couple of pallets, and then at some point I'm just going to get him to come and pick them up and bring
I
them
love
to the new
that.
place. That's the plan. We're actually going to have new rubber matting though, and I think it's one of the things I'm really, really most excited about, because the problem, I was talking to my partner about this as well the other day, is a big thing that we have had is we didn't think we'd be in this house for as long as we have been. And we didn't think that we would be in that yard for as long as we have been. So we've been living in this house and that yard for 6 years. We've lived in this house for 8 years, with the whole time thinking, well, we won't do that because we're probably going to move. Oh, well, we won't do that
Yeah.
because we're probably going to move. And that is incredibly difficult, because then we've got to a point where we've not done the things that we should have done. Like, we never fitted rubber matting properly. So the rubber matting is kind of pieced together, and sometimes it moves a little bit and you
Mm.
get your shavings fork caught under the edge of it. It's not the best, you know? So it's kind of like this, we've lived in this kind of cycle where we're not really actually living to the best of our potential within the spaces that we've
Yeah.
been in, which has been kind of hard.
Very transient. And like, when
Yeah.
did you tell your liveries? Are they really excited?
Well, they've known for quite a while. Our current facility hasn't really been sustaining what I've been doing for a while now. Like, it's absolutely fine with the young horses that we back. And then it's also, yeah, I just needed to tell the people who are with me long term that their change was coming. I have actually been saying it for quite a long time, like quite a few years. So those that have stayed are remarkably, you know, committed, because it's been quite difficult because it's been unknown basically. Sorry, I've just had a text message to say that both Indy and Dee Dee are lame. Two of my young horses in
Oh.
trot, can't feel any heat in the feet. Dee Dee has a little hole in her toe, but nothing other than that. That's great, isn't it? That's super. Welcome to winter, Poultice Central. Oh, anyway, they'll be okay, but not ideal. Just need to reply to this text message now. How are you? How have you got? What would you like to give us something while I reply to this issue in my end of the?
Well, I can
Oh,
speak to something like in a similar vein. And actually, sorry if you've been hearing me cough in the background. You may not have, because our editor Ellie is great, but I was so ill this weekend. Like, I know they say the flu is bad every year, but I think this year it was awful. It floored me. I was in bed, literally in bed, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Horrendous. My partner is an absolute saint. And the stupid thing is, I had a cough on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday, and it got really bad on Thursday. What did I do? I rode, I trained on Monday, I went to work on, not went to work, but I worked from home on Thursday, knowing that I didn't feel good, because I was like, well, deadlines and people need things and da da da. And by Friday, my body woke me up. I think I was up all night, 3 a.m. My body was like, nope, you're done. It was like that. And it was so stupid. And I actually realised today that in rushing and being so ill and other things, I had actually forgotten something logistically very important, which I won't share on the podcast, but Maria's giggling because it's really bad.
well, yes, because if you share it on the podcast, then you actually are like disclosing that you got it wrong, and somebody then could actually get you in trouble for it. So here we are.
It's not, I mean, it's nothing terrible, but it's not great. So anyway, it just was such a wake up call of like, why do you want to be in such a rush that you literally put yourself in bed for 3 days and forget something really logistically important? Like, it was just a renewal for something. It's not like, something really bad with other humans. Anyway.
I always think of that phrase, and it's like if you don't prioritize your health will force you to prioritize it.
I was thinking that as I lay in bed. I was like, Miri will say this. And it's so true. Like, I should have just taken the day on Thursday, and I probably wouldn't have ruined my whole weekend. So anyway, that was the first thing. But I was going to go on to your point about winter and rehabbing in winter. And whilst I was lying in bed yesterday, I got a Facebook memory, and it was like really, I actually cried for like quite a few minutes, and I really haven't cried like that in a while. But it was a memory of Woody being sat on for the first time in the rehab process. So we were like 9 months in, and Katie, our head girl, who was this real petite girl, was sitting on him with Hannah for the first time. And I was so sad because it reminded me that was like the beginning of the end. Like, we had this amazing hope, and then he ended up not being a ridden horse. Then he ended up not being able to retire. It ended up very sad, and we lost him. But what was actually really nice, and I was like, oh, I really want to talk about this, but I don't want to talk about it in a sad way. And as I was going back through my photos of the rehab over all of the seasons, the one thing that just kept coming up was like the smile on my face and the look on his face in every photo was just like joy. And I was like, how did we manage this over 9 months of this box rest and this horrible fracture? And I was like, oh yeah, like we tried really hard to live in the present. And I wrote this post, and I just literally cried writing this post, and then I cried for like 5 minutes after. It was very cathartic, but like just wrote this post about living in the present and trying not to forget your joy, because you can't control anything else in rehab. You can't control how hard you're finding it, how hard your horse is finding it. You don't know what's going to happen in the future. You can't change all of that, but what you can change is like, I'm going to enjoy this little moment that we're spending together because this is ours and I can do that. And I just thought, I hope that's a nice message. It just reminded me when you spoke about Indy and Dee Dee.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm sorry that it sparked that, but I also think there is something bigger than it just, reminding you of like being present and finding your joy in those moments, because actually, isn't that what life is about? Like, isn't that what we have to do every day? You know, So, like, adulting sucks a bag of dicks, like, regularly. And it is, if we don't remember to just stop every now and then and just look around, you know, the house that we currently live in, it's really hard. It's been hard. It's too small. We've outgrown it. We've got a lot of stuff, and we can't really have friends round because it's little, and we didn't really expect to be here. But there is so much joy that has been had here. You know, we've fostered our relationship in this house. We've lived in it for 8 years. We've been together for 11 years. You know, we got engaged while we lived here, and we got Ralph while we lived here, and we rehabilitated Ralph from his spinal surgery, and we did all of these amazing things in this not totally perfect house. And I think life is this kind of not totally perfect life, and actually if we can just keep being present and keep remembering our joy in even in those hard moments, then that's what it's all about. I remember seeing something recently, and it was like, you know, life is about embracing the human experience. Like life is an experience. It's not like a thing to be completed. It's just to be experienced. And when we allow that, we don't, there's not so much kind of, like you say, like force or speed needed. It's kind of just about actually noticing and experiencing all of the things, the hard, the good, the love, the sad, all of it. I don't know, feeling a bit profound this afternoon apparently.
No, I love that. I love that. And that actually is probably a nice segue into maybe your 2025 highlights. I wish I had some like show music. Da 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 da. You know, what are your highlights? That was terrible. Sorry.
I wish you would sing more. I really do. That was magic.
Well, yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Maybe 2026 will diversify into singing every week to you guys. So one of my highlights this year, and this maybe no, it's not small, is that I actually had some success with Blondie for a while.
Cute.
She has struggled with her hormones her whole life, I think, and well, I know she has because I knew her when she was a young horse, and then I know she struggled with her hormones then, and then she's struggled with her hormones since I've owned her too. And this last year was the first time that she had the Improvac vaccine, and which is a vaccine that works on stopping the production of something called GnRH, which is essentially the fundamental building block for all hormones in the body. So it kind of like stoppers that from happening, and so then it stops the body producing so much testosterone, estrogen, progesterone, all of those things. And it's been the first year that I've actually been able to kind of ride her and like have a nice time with her. I then sort of dropped the ball, and she was meant to have another vaccine in August, and I didn't do it because things were going so well. I was like, well, I don't need to. What a fool I was.
No, but just to pick you up on that point, I actually think it's really nice and okay that you were like, maybe we don't need this anymore. And I think it's a really powerful thing for people to remember, like, check your tack every now and again. Do you still need a martingale? Do you still need a flash? Do you still need that injection or that supplement or that? And you know, I think it's not a sign of weakness to do that actually. So I just wanted to say that I think that was good.
Well, the proof will be in the pudding, I suppose, because I sort of had this conversation with myself, and then I thought, okay, well, actually, I'm going to give her that vaccine again, and I'm going to see if that helps her, because she's really miserable with it. Like, she'll work with me from the ground and stuff, but if I go in the school, she just completely just down tools on me. And I wanted to, because I know that her hormones are so complicated, I wanted to try, do this first before I take her back to the vets, for example, in case. But then she's not unsound, so anyway, it's complicated. It's a whole complicated thing. But either way, yeah, you're absolutely right. Maybe I needed to stop to know to carry on as such.
When you say she was miserable with it, do you mean without the vaccine or with the vaccine?
Yeah, without.
Oh, right. Sorry, I was just checking. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I was having such a lovely time in the summer and riding and jumping and going over poles and doing all this fun stuff. You guys will have seen it on my Instagram, and then you will have noticed that there was a kind of just like a point where that just stopped happening. And it was around August, and that was 6 months when she should have had the next vaccine, and I didn't. And they recommend, there's science behind this. It's science. It's like any vaccine, it has a shelf life as such in the body. And so yeah, we live and we learn, right? There obviously was a tilt point in her hormones that kind of switched them back on again. So yeah.
Well, and presumably with her PSSM, you would think that August would be one of the best months for it because it's warm, it's dry, there's not loads of rain,
Exactly.
usually, so interesting.
Yeah, the whole thing has been super interesting, and yeah, that's been one of the things. And then the last thing that I wanted to say, which I think is probably the most profound and one that I'm definitely still working my way through as such, is I think I found a bit of better balance in my life.
It's been a long time coming.
Yeah. For someone who I was a chronically overworked person, because of financial pressure, I think mostly, it's been quite remarkable to get to a place where things actually are at a point where, like, I had a day the other day and I finished doing what I was doing and I was like, oh, I actually have some time. And I don't actually have something I need to do with it. And now I need to, like, work out what I actually want to do with that time, which is kind of amazing. And I'm really glad, because I think, yeah, I've spent such a long time not having that I didn't even know. I would just work 7 till 7 every day, and I'm proud of myself, I guess. And I think, if there's equestrians out there, or even just, well, not even equestrians, but people who are struggling with balance, please do keep trying to find better balance, because it is worth it. I had a conversation with somebody today who I know listens to this podcast, and we talked about putting ourselves first. And she was saying how she really, really struggles with putting herself first. Like, it's chronically uncomfortable for her. And I said to her, I said, I just want to remind you, you get one trip round this life. You get one trip. I don't want to say that in a scary way, but you do. You have one opportunity to live your life. And I said it from a place of love, because I need to hear that myself, because I fear so many things. I have lived my life in fear of a lot of stuff. And just this weekend, my partner and I went away for the weekend, and it made me very anxious. But I had the most amazing experience where we went. And we went to this bonkers Christmas party, and it was just amazing fun. And if 4 o'clock in the morning while flight, I was sick, on Saturday morning, I was really sick. I was really anxious. I was like, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can go. Everything my body was telling me, I felt unsafe. I can't do this. Da 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 da. And I still went, because I was like, you know what? You can fuck off, anxiety. I'm not interested in you controlling me. And one of the things I have said to myself, and I will say this publicly here, is I refuse to make decisions in 2026 that are controlled by whether I will feel anxious or not. Like, if the reason that I'm not going to do it is because I might become anxious, that is not a reason anymore. So,
Yes.
yes.
When you told me that, I remember you told me that phrase, and I was like, I am so proud of you, because that is such a cool statement, but also such a hard statement to like actually live by. And you're
Yeah.
doing it. You're doing it every day.
Yeah. And it is hard, because you've got to be okay with throwing up in public places potentially, and feeling really rubbish and all of those things. And, that's how visceral my anxiety is. But the reality is, actually, even if that was to happen, I, I can't die of that feeling. And I could regret a lot. And there have been a lot of times in my life where I have said no to things and regretted it deeply afterwards, and I just don't want to do that anymore. I just don't want to. I watched a video of somebody on Instagram the other day, or maybe it was TikTok, I can't remember, and they were like looking at some elephants outside their like safari camp, and I cried. I cried because I was like, life is to be experienced, life is to be lived, and life is, we are to put ourselves first and choose ourselves, and yeah, not just allow, I don't know, allow things that we've grown up with to control us forever, I think.
Yeah, I love that.
What about you? What have been your highlights this year? Tell us of your year, Rhi.
I think one of the biggest things that's had an impact on me this year, and I appreciate this probably sounds not as profound as what Miri is about to say, but it really did, was a mother and daughter on my yard made the decision to let me use their lorry. And there's like no financial gain. We like work together to make the costs work for them to pay for the things they need to pay for with the lorry, the MOT, the petrol, etc. And I was writing their Christmas card yesterday, and I've got them a like hamper, and I'm sure that they'll have read it. I don't even know if they listen to this, so it doesn't really matter. But when I was writing the card, one of the things I said is like, you've not just given me the gift of transport, you've actually given me the gift of joy and confidence and progress and independence. And like that summed it up for me. Like having access to that lorry has just like completely changed my experience with my horse. And I know that that sounds really like spoiled maybe, but it gave me the same feeling as when I was like 14 and this older couple let me share or loan really their Connemara pony. And I didn't really have a lot of money, but I paid for his shoes and his feed with my part-time job, and they just let me do whatever I wanted. And like the freedom that I felt, like it just felt so cool. And especially being surrounded by so many children who just had all these ponies. And I grew up in a very wealthy part of the country with a very wealthy pony club, and it was just very like it felt very like not fun for me. And yeah, it's just been amazing. Like I feel a bit emotional, but it's just so stupid because it's just a lorry, but it's not just a lorry. It's just
You
changed
are funny,
everything.
you must stop putting your experiences down by someone else's someone else, by what you
Oh, I
think other
know.
people will be thinking, because there is nothing silly about that at all. You have worked for every single thing you have in your life. You've not been, I know many people won't say this, but like you've not had anything on a plate. You and I are the same. Neither of us have. We've never been given stuff, and obviously we have made things work for ourselves, but you didn't have a horse till you were 30 years old.
Mm.
Like it's not silly to feel that or to acknowledge that. So just say the good thing without putting yourself down afterwards, okay?
Thank you. Well, sorry, I just kept thinking that people listen to us and be like, "Oh, well, I don't even have a horse," and she's like got a lorry. Anyway, it doesn't matter. That's how I feel. It was amazing, and I'm so grateful to them. And I really hope that I can do that for somebody else one day. And if you're listening and you have a lorry that is maybe sitting there and not really getting the runs that it could do with for its engine, and you know someone who maybe doesn't have a lot or doesn't have the money that they could spend on regularly going out, and you think they could benefit from it, maybe have that conversation. Because honestly, I have a wall chart in the spare room next to me, and it's got like a year in the on the calendar, and I marked every time that I went out with Harley, and it brings me so much joy looking at that. So that's been amazing because it's just unlocked so many things for me. And what's lovely is I see it in my horse. I see the confident like horse that he's becoming because of it. And like I tell them all the time, but I really can't thank them enough. So yeah, and if you are someone who maybe is was in my position, maybe just look around and ask, because lorries need to be driven. Like, so you might be doing someone a favour by taking one out more regularly with the right insurance and all the other precautions.
Of course. There was something that you said in there where you said, there might even be people that don't have horses who
Yeah.
would be like, well, I don't even have. I don't think any of our listeners speak like that, because I think they're all good, loving, generous people that would say, well, I don't have a horse, but they wouldn't. But I do think, and I saw this the other day, we've been working with the Horse Trust this whole season, and I saw something the other day that there was this lovely lady. I watched a video, and she was a volunteer, at the Horse Trust. And I know there aren't always endless opportunities like this, but as someone who welcomes work experience and work placement and people at university and kids that are doing their first ever work experience, whatever it might be, there are people out there who would be so grateful if you were an ex-horse owner and you are 50 years old and you are just would love to go and spend a few hours with some horses on a Sunday morning. I cannot tell you how many people out there would be grateful of your space, of your time, because even just an extra pair of hands to bring some horses in, or someone who is, you're just there if they need another person, or maybe you're just there to go and hang out with those horses and groom them and love them. I've got some friends from my gym who now come and help out, and they, you know, came and just helped out for free initially just to get their put their hand in, and now I ask them to come and they cover some of the girls for me when someone's having some time off. And like, if you are without a horse but you crave it or you miss it so much, just go and ask, go and find out what's going on in your local area, because you never know who might just be grateful of your presence.
100%. And I really feel that we are never in more need. That doesn't make sense. We've never been more in need of community, both in the equestrian space, but also in general in the UK, more in need of local community than ever. And so I think finding a way to connect with that is wonderful. So that was a huge one. And the other one that has actually had, I knew it would be cool and aligned to me, but it's had more of an impact than I expected, was I was given the opportunity, and I'm sorry if I've talked about this on the podcast, I couldn't remember, to present a series for Horse and Country on Quest, British Dressage Quest, which is the grassroots introductory sort of program and championship for dressage. So it's all very low key. It's meant to be very, very welcoming. You can wear whatever you want. You can do it in teams, and you can do sort of tests up to novice, and then you can, you know, get points and go to the championship. So in the first episode, we met a team and we talked about them and their horses, and for some people, like, they'd never ever competed before, and it was really cool. And then in the second episode, I went up to Arena UK in Lincolnshire. Is that right? Is it in Lincolnshire? Nottinghamshire?
Nottinghamshire.
So it's pretty far north.
Do you want to know something funny? That's where
Go on.
That's where my partner and I met.
Oh, at Arena UK.
Yeah.
Cute. Show jumping, I presume.
Yeah.
So cute. Well, we were there.
Carry on.
At the Arena UK of Love, apparently. And I got to meet like all these different people and interview them. And like, there was a woman who, she like cried because her and her horse came ninth and they'd been working so hard. And I followed this lovely girl called Lily and her pony Glow, little Palomino, and they were there for the first time. And she was there with her mum and her granddad and her grandma, and her granddad's reading the test. And it was so cute, and she was the sweetest child. And there was somebody else on this tiny little Shetland, and it was just, the whole thing was just joyful. And I said on the series, like, maybe one day we'll meet, you know, and I really want you to imagine yourself here if doing Quest is something that you want to do, and perhaps one day we'll cross paths in a warm-up. And I really wanted people to kind of watch the series and feel that they could do it if they wanted to. And honestly, it's had such an effect on me, because I just can't stop thinking about it. And like, if I hadn't been ill this weekend, I would have competed at Parwood, which is one of our local venues, in the unaffiliated, because that was me being like, if he likes this venue, if Harley's happy here, I'm going to do all my Quest qualifiers next year here, if I can. And I've got this thing in my head that, like, I'm just going to do it next season. I'm just going to go out once a month and give it a crack and not worry about my score being public, which used to be a massive thing that I got hung up on for some weird reason, and just go and enjoy myself. And that's been very cool. So I think that's coming out on the 10th of December, but I'm not 100% sure. But keep an eye out. It's on Horse and Country, and I think it's really fun. But yeah, that was good.
Great. And I think, you know, I said this, I'm a bit like a broken record when I say it, but I do think that you are such a shining light for why we all ride horses. Like, it is about remembering that joy. Like, you can get pretty bogged down when, like, you get a text message and two of your own horses have potentially got an abscess, and your life is a bit upside down, and, you know, quite a lot of people are dealing with injuries or rehab or difficult things, and, you know, actually just remembering that it is all about that joy, those little moments, that, you know, why you do it. I just think that's great. I love it. I love it so much.
Me too.
We wanted to give you guys our little Christmas gift guide, because this episode would have been useless to you at the time when it was actually meant to go out. But we had a bit of a debacle with organising our guests. So we have got 2 more episodes after this episode that will go out. But we thought, as we have moved it forward, that because we're recording this on the 8th of December, we're going to give you our Christmas gift guide, our must-haves. So, Rhi, take us away. What is your first on the list? Now, these are not in order of relevance to me, by the way, because
No.
I was not organised enough to be like, the number one I would offer. No, this is just
No.
some things you could purchase your friends or relatives, potentially.
Yes. Okay, so I feel that this one is... Well, there's 2, really. These feel like quite... They're either going to be very resonant with people or super random. And I just don't know which way it's going to swing, okay? So there's 2 items that I use almost daily in the winter. And it's because I'm often running from the yard back to work. In fact, always during the week. And so I've started carrying these biodegradable water wipes. And I can't remember the name of the brand I had, but there was also a really cheap version in Tesco which are biodegradable, and also a neck scarf, you know, like cotton neck scarves that you can just put on your neck to kind of keep the wind away. Both of those. So the neck scarf, I've just been like pulling it over my head like a bandana, basically, to cover my hair, because what was happening was I'd be like grooming Harley and it'd just get covered in mud. And then I'd ride, and then I'd have to go to work the next day. And if I haven't washed my hair, and I don't like to wash my hair that often, like, it's thick and it takes ages to style. It's just not what I want to do with my time. And it just would like smell like mud and horses all the time. And so covering it with a neck scarf, cotton neck scarf, game changer. So that was number 1. And then the water wipes was because, again, I'd just get my face covered in dirt and I'd be sat back at my desk. Or if I was working from somewhere else, like the gym, which I quite often do, they have a little cafe, I'd just be sat there being like, I didn't have time to wash my face, or I don't have the facilities to wash my face, but my face just feels covered in dirt. So quick water wipe, done. So there you go.
Do you know what that's called? It's got a name. It's called a baby wipe shower. I love that you are advocating a baby wipe shower on the podcast as your Christmas gift guide. I think it's fantastic. And I think that a lot of people will
You make
resonate
it
with
sound
this.
horrible.
But I also think it's quite funny. And yes, that was fairly niche.
Yeah, sorry. So those, well, I was starting with the lower ticket price items. So those 2 for me, game changers. What's on yours? Come on then. Beat my baby shower. No, baby. What was it?
Baby wipe shower?
That's the one.
Just a crucial word.
That sounds really sordid and like gross.
It's like a disco nap. It's kind of like baby wipe shower, disco nap. They're the same kind of phrase.
I know. And for the record, just before people start saying this, it's not like I feel like I've invented a new thing. I understand that people have used baby wipes in this way for ages. It's not like I feel like I've uncovered some new routine. I'm just saying.
But I think the water wipe, the biodegradable water wipe, is like a sustainable upgrade, I think,
100%.
in my book.
Yeah,
so I
agreed,
think you're doing.
agreed.
I think you are doing something different. I definitely do. So there's a kind of a few things that I've got on here on my list. And I was thinking, actually, as you were talking, I was thinking I'm going to add one that is a really easy, sustainable swap that is really affordable and is a lovely, like, stocking filler for an equestrian. And that is a biodegradable sponge. Sounds. I posted these on my story. They're made of coconut fibres on one side. I'm actually not entirely sure what the other side is made of, but we'll put the links to these things if we can find them maybe in the show notes, which I think is a nice thing to do for people. But they were such a great thing. Like, we go through a lot of sponges on our yard because we clean a lot of tack, and I was like really demoralized by the fact that that's what we were doing, because even though they weren't biodegradable sponges, we were still going through a lot of them. You know, if you think about it, we've got 14 horses in work. That's 14 bridles to clean more than once a week, and then the saddles and the girths and the stirrups and the this and the that. And I was like, no, I don't love this. And when we worked with White Griffin in season 3, I was like, what are the sustainable things that I could actually be doing to make a difference? And that was one of them. So I'll put those in the show notes so you guys can purchase a biodegradable sponge.
How do they stand up versus normal sponges? Because that's very much a preconceived notion, isn't it? That they're weak and not good.
They're tougher. You know how those sponges that you get, and this is often the thing, right? Is you would be going to Tesco, for example, and you'd be buying like the cheapest ones because they're for the horses, so they're not like good,
Mm-hmm.
and they've got that
Yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
green that green like scoury bit, and then that would like peel off the sponge. I mean, they might last a while, but they're not good. They are also degrading microplastics all over you, which really isn't great. And they seem to stand up really well. Since I've started purchasing them, I've bought 2 packets of them, so I'd say that they probably are slightly better than normal sponges, and we give them
Love that.
fair hammer. So yeah, that's
Okay.
my bargain. My bargain. Okay,
Okay.
next up on the list is if you have an equestrian in your life, I can almost guarantee they would appreciate one of these 2 things. A pair of trousers that go over their own trousers that are not only waterproof but warm. Now, I've got multiple pairs. I've got a
Mm.
really good pair of waterproof trousers that I got gifted actually by Weatherbeater. There is a fairly hilarious viral reel that I created while wearing them because they're nice and spacious. So you can put them over your trousers and wear them. But there's something about having warm legs that makes
Mm.
such a difference to your overall body heat because I know a lot of equestrians suffer with chilblains, and if you can get them a decent pair of waterproof trousers or waterproof trousers with a lining, please do. I had these crapo ones last year. I've actually lost them. I'm really upset at the fact I've lost them. I'm looking around in my spare room as I say this. um they were called, like, I think I got them on TikTok Shop, and that's not great. I don't really advocate shopping on TikTok Shop, but I saw so many people talking about them, and they're like tight at the bottom, so I could ride in them if I wanted. But they have like a fleecy lining, life changing. But my one
Mm.
hack would be if you are on a budget and you don't want to buy an expensive brand that are equestrian, my suggestion would be to go to somewhere like Mountain Warehouse and buy a
Yes.
pair of ski trousers.
Oh, okay. I did not think about the ski trouser thing, but I was going to say absolutely go and get like walking trousers or mountaineering ones
100%.
because
Yep.
on my list, I've had a pair of waterproof trousers. Granted, they don't have a lining. They have a kind of weird sort of webbing, which I think is basically to stop the waterproof edge getting like touching your fabric so that it doesn't leak through. But they're caramel ones. They're literally normally like, I can't remember what the actual name of the thing is, but it's like caramel walking trousers or ladies waterproof trousers or whatever. They're not very flattering. They've got like a band waist and they're straight legged, but you can unzip the bottom and then pop them in. I've had them since I was 15 because I used to work in them on the hunt yard, and they are brilliant. They really are good, and they're like 20 quid on Sports
Literally.
Direct.
Doesn't have to be fancy.
So
But there is
no.
something about, I remember this all the time. I'll get to the yard, and I quite often will keep things in the tack room like this because they smell. And I get to the yard and I go to the tack room and I put them on, and it is like standing next to the radiator because suddenly all that heat that you're creating from your legs is not being wasted.
How do you find? I mean, I've never. Sorry, I haven't skied before, so I don't know how much like bend you have. But like, can you move your leg, or are they
Size
quite
up.
puffy? Ah, nice.
Because,
Okay.
so, yes, it depends, but I just recommend sizing up. Just don't, just tell them not to be offended if you've upsized when you purchase them for somebody else. But like, I think the ones I've got are, they like fit me a bit around the waist. But also, snowboarding trousers are generally baggier because you're cooler if you ride a snowboard, I think. So then you have like you're baggier basically, and that's
I
that.
do feel like that would be really fun because then you'd have all the different colours too, and I just feel like that would be enjoyable.
Yeah. I've only got black, but regardless, they're wonderful. So that was one of mine. So that's maybe
Okay.
my mid-price ticket item. I've got quite a few more, but go on. What's next on your list?
So my sort of next level up from my water wipes and neck scarf, I know you're all waiting with bated breath after those two, is a big what is it, like litre decent like flask, like a thermos or a
Yeah.
Yeti. I have one. They are so good. I basically, in the winter, I fill it up with boiling water when I go to the yard. I use it to clean my tack so I don't have to stand waiting for the kettle to boil when it's cold because our kettle takes forever. I use it to top up my coffee when I'm at a show before I drive home. I use it to put warm water on Harley to sponge him off when I'm away from home and it's cold. So many uses, and like it's just it's just easy, and I love them and they're great and just highly recommend.
100%. It's on my list too. A reusable water bottle slash cup, because
Yep.
so I have been using Yeti specifically for ages, and I've got a funny story actually. One of my friends actually whacked a attacker with her Yeti bottle. I know somebody was trying to mug
What?
her. I know
Literally
somebody,
mug
so
her.
not. I mean, I didn't think actually it was funny, but yes, funny. And she actually protected herself with it because they have this great handle on the top. Anyway, that's a complete side note. But I've got a water bottle, and I really struggle with drinking enough water. It's like something that I've always
Same.
tried. Another one of those like don't look after myself things. And since I've had a proper reusable water bottle that goes in the dishwasher, that is important, that is cleanable and hardy and also sustainable. This is a really important thing, you know. Let's all make sustainable life choices. When you go and get a cup of coffee, I actually hate paper or plastic coffee cups. I hate them. Like, I think they are not nice to drink out of. Maybe it's one of my sensory things. Like, I'm sensitive to like what my clothes feel like and stuff. And that is a huge one for me. Like, having a reusable coffee cup really feels like a lovely treat. It's like one of my favourite things to do. So that is another thing that is an amazing gift for an equestrian. I say it all the time, but you make a cup of tea at 7 a.m., it will still be warm at 12 o'clock.
Yeah. Such an important thing. Totally.
Yeah,
Love that.
100%. We always say, don't we, having that cup of hot chocolate at the yard? Well, yeah. Have your Yeti with you. Yeti, if you listen to this, want to sponsor us?
That would be
We
really
love you.
fun for season. Look, we talked about how you mugged the mugger with a Yeti. What else do you want? What else could you possibly need from two podcasters?
Literally. Absolutely.
Okay. Next on the list.
What's next on my list? Okay, so I'm going to promote myself for a moment here,
Go on.
because I have this online training platform. You guys will probably have heard me talking about it, where I have loads and loads and loads of training videos, but I also give direct access to me through it, so you can ask me questions, that kind of thing. If you're having trouble with your horse, or maybe you're not having trouble but you're just interested in a different way of doing things, then I can be there to support you along the way. And the lovely thing is, you can now gift people a membership.
Love
So
that.
I have been, in fact, gifting Rhiannon her membership for the whole time that she has been a patron, but it's worked in a bit of a different way. Whereas now you can essentially pay for someone's subscription. So you could pay for it for a certain number of months, or you could do it for a whole year. And it's a really affordable but very maybe a lovely way of giving learning. And I think that's a really huge thing, right? You know, we all have a lot of stuff. And although we are talking about some things, items that you could give people physically, have you ever considered giving someone learning? Have you enjoyed me giving you the learning over the years?
Yeah. Abby Lyle said the other day, she reiterated that, like, where you want to spend your money is not on the saddle, it is on the training. And this is exactly that.
Absolutely. 100%. So, yeah, what about you? What's next on your list?
Well, I'm sort of going up in price, and my next one is also one of my products, but I only have one product really, but I'm very, very proud of them. So 6 years ago, I wanted a diary to write down what I was doing with my horse each day and reflect on it and set goals and blah, blah, blah. And all the diaries that I could find were plasticky and glittery and unicorny. And I was like, this is not the aesthetic that I'm after. I don't want to do it like this. And so I designed my own, and I worked with this amazing female designer to bring it to life. I still have the handwritten drawings. And so I designed the Equestrian Planner, which is an undated planner, so you can start it at any time of year. You can pause if your horse has an injury, if you go on holiday, if you buy a horse in March, you can start it then. It has a section at the front, which is a letter from me, and then 3 goal sets for the year ahead. That's not good English. 3 goals you can set for the year ahead. Then a monthly planning section with a monthly goal, and then a weekly planning section where you can write down everything you did that day, and then notes and a weekly goal. And at the end of the 12-month period, you can reflect on your goals. And the idea is that you can start with big goals and then break them down month by month. And they do incredibly well. I only have black left now for the year. I also have a version if you don't have your own horse, but you ride once or twice a week. I have one with the riding log. And I got the most amazing message the other day. And I know that once people have these diaries, they come back year after year. And I sometimes see orders from like partners where, I know that their partner is asked for this every year. I had this message the other day from somebody who has bought one every year for 6 years. And they sent me a message. They have autism and ADHD, and they really struggle with processes and keeping up with things. And they sent me this picture of every one of their diaries from the past 6 years. And they were like, it's the only thing that I've been able to stick to. And like, I was like, that is amazing. Like, for me, at the end of every diary, you get basically a memory book. And I just think that's great. And I've designed them all to be as eco-friendly as possible. They're recyclable pages. It's vegan leather. The printing press that I worked with are CO2 neutral, carbon neutral. So yeah, I just think they're great. They're on my Etsy. You can find them there. They have many 5-star reviews. I'm very proud of them. That's it.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
That is very cool. Aren't we? That's good. Isn't it nice that we've got our own things that we can, sort of valuable things as well, and not just kind of like stuff.
Random stuff.
Not just stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I've got 2 more left on my list.
Okay.
One of them, and this is a high ticket item, but I really do believe there's nothing else like it on the market, is a dry rug. Have you ever experienced dry rug?
No, but I've seen them. They're kind of the fleecy, towely ones, are they?
Well,
No?
they're neither fleece nor towel, but yeah, essentially, that's the kind of, they would do the job of those things, but in a magical way. So they're like this rug, and they are expensive. But if you have been on the fence as to whether you should purchase one or not, I really do recommend it, especially so we don't have a solarium at our current facility. So like if you give a horse a bath, having a layer that is really wicking is amazing. They will dry a fully clipped horse with no solarium or anything within about 15 minutes, I think is the thing. And then
Do you
they
mean
will
fully
dry.
unclipped?
No,
Oh, no.
I mean fully clipped.
Sorry, fully clipped. Sorry.
It could take multiple hours to dry a
Well, yeah,
clipped,
that's why I was
unclipped
like, well,
horse. Yeah. But with a dry rug, the lovely thing about them is they're amazing because you could put if you were to wash your horse, they come over the field covered in mud and you're going to a show the next day and you really need to put their rug on, but you don't want their rug to get soaking wet, you can put the dry rug on and you don't want them to sit with the wet on them. You put the dry rug on, you put a normal rug over the top, and it pulls the wet away from them. And so then they've always got this amazing layer on their backs. Anyway, they're just a really clever bit of technology. I don't know how they've done it. They've patented the material, so no one's ever going to copy them. But they are really good. So if you're like, you've got a friend who has, not great facilities, or they go showing, or they need something like that, then they are worth the investment, 100%.
love that. Okay. And did you say have one more? Did you say?
I have got one more, yeah. And I've come back to this a number of times, but if you're looking for a bridle or to upgrade parts of your bridle, now this is the thing that I think I like about them the most, is there's a brand called the Horsemanship Saddlery, and they're just a little brand. They don't really do any advertising as far as I've seen. I don't even think they have Instagram. I have been using their bridles now for years and years and years and years. I have we call them the yard bridles, and they are my go-to bridles for any horse coming in for training. They are always soft and a lovely shape, and they're ergonomic around the back of the ears. But one of the things I like about them the most is you can purchase a cob-size noseband, a full-size headpiece, and an extra full brow band if you need it. And it's not like it doesn't matter. You can measure your horse, so you're always going to get the right things. They're great with advice as well. And they're beautiful. They're lovely. They're a lovely piece of equipment. And if ever I see one secondhand, I always buy it because well, not always because I don't need any at the moment, but I have done that previously when I needed an extra one. And I recommend them to everyone if you're looking for like an relatively entry level bridle that is going to be lovely for your horse's head. And actually, I do think bridal fit is often incredibly overlooked. Please have a look. They're wonderful and they're not expensive either. But if you were like, okay, well, I like my noseband and I like my cheek pieces, but maybe I want a different headpiece, you can just go and buy a different headpiece. You don't have to buy the whole bridle. And I think that's rare. You know, sometimes we can't do that. We've got to buy the whole lot. And actually, you can. You can buy piece by piece, should you want to. So, yeah, there we go. That's my gift guide. What else? Have you got anything left on your list?
So my second last one is a Pivo. I have used Pivo for years. And in fact, I remember when they first came out and they were like trying to work on the technology, and I shared it and people were like, what is this? This is terrible. And I was thinking, this is great. And now they have like thousands of fans and whatever around the world, and they have this wonderful Facebook group where people share their training and they ask questions, and they're really good. But basically, like, I've bought multiple of them over the years. I am almost always riding on my own. I don't like asking people to film me a lot of the time. I don't know, that's something about me. I don't know. I just don't like to do it. I'm often riding in the middle of the day. I don't have a lot of time. And I record my rides with Pivo. And yes, it's not perfect. Sometimes they do weird things and they swing in a weird direction and you're like, what's happened? But I'd say 80% of the time, they are really decent. And it is worth it for me for the 20% where they go a bit haywire. If you have a decent camera, I think that's probably the most important thing. So if you're trying to weigh it up, I think if you've got a decent phone, you're in a pretty good space with it. If your phone isn't so decent, I'd maybe wait. But I've done training with them, with Miri. Like, that's how we train together because we don't actually live anywhere near one another. And that's been amazing. I use it to send footage to my coach if I'm trying to work through something. Like, I use it for sharing footage on my Instagram. I mean, God, I wouldn't be able to do content if I didn't have a Pivo. So that's one. And I know, Miri, you use one here and there as well.
Yeah, my Pivo was the only thing that enabled me to start my Patreon because I didn't always have somebody to record for me. And they have this amazing thing where they sync with your headphones. So if you were an early days Patreon supporter, most of my videos were me in my arena with my headphone in, recording on my phone with Pivo, and I've helped thousands of people because of it. And now the amazing thing is, now I teach people all over the world using Pivo. Now you don't have to have a Pivo for the online training, but it's really helpful. And like Rhi says, they can be a bit fun and random sometimes. And sometimes I get just like a tour of the rest of the arena, or I get stuck staring at a wall for a while. But you know what? It kind of adds to the fun. And I train with my coach moved abroad, and now it's the only way I can train with her is by having that. You know, and
Yeah.
it's an amazing piece of technology. I absolutely, let's add them to my list too. Pivo for the win.
Yes. And I also realised that I just assumed you knew what a Pivo was. So a Pivo, for those who don't know, is a little thing that you put your phone into, like you sit your phone into it like in a stand, and you use an app to connect with this little device, and your phone sits in it, and the app uses your phone's camera to track a horse as they move around an arena, which means you can record videos of you riding or have training where someone can see you and the horse moving, as opposed to like putting your phone on a fence and hoping for the best. So they're great. And my final item is it's a pretty high ticket item. I think I spent about, I want to say £650 on mine. So it's not cheap, but it is one of my most favourite items I've ever bought myself and my horse. And it's a bespoke bridle from somebody called Kelly J Leather. So she is based in, I believe she's in Sussex. She listens to this podcast, so she's probably yelling at me for getting it wrong. Surrey or Sussex, one of the S's. And she designs and makes her own bridles. And I actually went down that route because, as Miri was saying, Harley's head was changing, and I was like trying to change out bits and pieces of the bridle, and it just never felt quite right. And I thought, do you know what? It's my birthday, or it was his birthday coming up, and I thought I'm just going to splurge and do it. And it was just a very, very fun experience. She came out, she measured his head, she was teaching me all about the anatomy. We went through every colour, every stitch, every bead, whether I wanted any pattern on it. She let me have longer reins because Harley, when he stretches, has quite a long neck, and normal reins, they were just like disappearing away from me. And I wanted a specific type of grip and all these little details, the shape of the buckle you can choose. Like, it was just unbelievable. She made the piece under the jaw, she made his padded area bigger because he's got a big wide jaw, and she wanted it to sit round, and just all these amazing things. And every time I look at it, not only am I like, this is so smart and lovely, but I feel like it fits him perfectly, and that's a really nice feeling. So yeah, not cheap, but if you wanted to spend on something really special, I think that the item and the experience are really lovely. So yeah,
I love
that's
that.
it.
Yeah, that is it. Love it. Well, not the end
Gift
of the
guide
podcast. Don't
one.
worry, we've still got more things to talk about. But yeah, I think it's nice to share some of the things that we've found to be good, because I think sometimes you see people, influencers, for example, and I know we talked about this in our influencer episode, which was really popular actually. People loved that episode, but I like genuinely all of the things that I have told you about. I have used and used and used and used and used for years. Like, they're not things that I've just like one time got given or whatever. Like, I actually, yeah, have actually used them and really think they're valuable. So I hope that was helpful for people. Maybe some inspiration for the equestrian in your life.
Yeah, and we've said this before, but it's worth saying again. Like, it's really worth noting, like, when your influencers are showing up on camera, the ones you follow, are they showing up in the same clothes again and again? Are they using the same equipment again and again? Because that's the stuff they actually like. And I do think it's really naughty that creators still will promote something and then a couple of weeks later it disappears. I just think it's so naughty, unless something fundamentally has gone wrong and they're like, oh, actually this really didn't work the way I thought it would. And that's happened to me before, where I've really liked it and then actually it's stopped working the way it should or whatever. But when you are seeing these gift guides and these things around Christmas, just take note and be like, huh, have I seen them using that? Is that something that comes up in their content again? Yeah, just worth noting.
I think as well, I just want to say as well, as a small business, I sell rope halters through my website, for example, which was
Yes.
something I probably should have promoted. I sell beautiful handmade rope halters on my website,
They are
to
beautiful.
assist you. Rhi has one, but to assist you with the groundwork that I practice, and encourage. And, £10,000 spent with small businesses. So if you chose to shop with small business, if within a huge group of people £10,000 was spent, what that would mean to a small business or small businesses spread out would be enormous. Whereas, like, the big businesses, they're not going to notice that amount of money. So if this Christmas, if you can do one thing, even if you hated every single one of our suggestions, I think, other than, well, a couple of those businesses that we've suggested are bigger, like reusable coffee cups, for example. But if you could support small businesses as much as you possibly can with your purchases this Christmas, you could literally change people's lives. Like, if 100 people bought my rope halters this Christmas, it would literally change my life. Like, and that's mad, isn't it? 100, only 100. Actually, I wouldn't have enough stock for 100 because can't make them fast enough. So don't do that. But maybe a few of you if you're interested. But you know what I mean? Like, even 10. Does that make sense? Like, it would make a
Yeah,
really big difference to me, and like the same with your diaries, right?
yeah.
So I think, yeah, shop small business, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. If you're making that choice, then even if you wanted to purchase something, try and find it from a smaller business rather than a bigger one.
Yes. I love that. Love that so much. Um,
Yeah.
oh, that reminds me. I'll just do a little side quest story and then we'll do our reflections. My dad is very particular and he buys sort of once and buys well. He's very much that kind of person. And he was looking for this jacket And he was looking and looking and looking and looking, and all the big retailers didn't have it, and he couldn't find it anywhere. And anyway, they were somewhere in like the Lake District or something, and they came across this little shop, and he went in, and it was a tiny walking shop, and it was like floor to ceiling, just stock. You can
Like
imagine the
Aladdin's
kind of
cave.
space. Yes, of just like everything that they could show, and they'd like specialized in this brand. And so my dad was like so excited trying on these different coats, and they like didn't have it in his size, I think, or the right, whatever it was. And the guy was like, "Oh, I'll order it for you, and you can come and pick it up here." And so they were like, "Yeah, okay, well, we're here for a couple of weeks and whatever." And they did. And this guy, like my dad, they ended up buying two coats, one for my mum, one for my dad. And it was obviously this little person's business. And I don't mean that to be like patronizing, but like that person goes the extra mile, gets it ordered in, does it all quite quickly, helps my dad, had so much knowledge on the brand and the right type of coat that he needed for the thing that he wanted to do. And like, just such a reminder of like human led businesses, humans for humans kind of thing. And it was really lovely. And I just remember that story. So, yeah.
That's nice. I love things
It
like
is
that.
nice. Me too. All right. I got some questions. Well, we've got some questions for one another. But I'm going to
Go
ask
on, you
you.
go first because I think you've got more questions than I have.
Well, we can just ask each other. So, my first question was, how has your relationship with your horse this year changed?
Wow. Okay.
Pick a horse, I guess. Or all of them,
Well,
whatever.
I don't think I need to pick one horse because I think that my relationship with my own horses has changed a lot this year. So I have been confronted with difficult things. So I've got this love, or maybe I'll talk about Belle actually, because I think this has been the most profound with her. She came to me, she's given to me for £1. She's complicated. She used to rear a lot. She never really reared with me because I didn't push her to the point of finding the rear in her. But there we are. That's a whole nother thing. But I still would find that I'd kind of have this, like, there would be this kind of tension in her. And I would always find it quite frustrating. And my arena at home, as I said at the beginning, is incredibly small and difficult. It's like the surface is fine, but it's going the wrong way, not the right way, and it needs renovation, basically. And I've found her to be very difficult when I'm riding her there. And it's been this sort of like, I should ride her, but I should ride her because she's sound and she's good and I can do things. I should. And I had this lady, Davina, start with us this year. She's a shiatsu massage specialist. And I said to her, oh, sometimes I find it's not enjoyable to ride her. Like, it's not horrible, but it just doesn't feel like ease. Like, there's no ease with it. It just feels kind of like a job I have to do, and that her, like Belle and I, are both kind of doing it because she was always improved by the riding, by the way. Like, her mentality was always better when she'd fully like exercised, and I wanted to do things diversely. I wanted to go over like, she loves poles and jumping jumps. Like, I lunged her this morning and there were some poles out and I was like actively trying to stop her from going over them because they didn't really fit in what I was doing. No chance. She's like dragging me towards them. So I'm like, okay, fine. So she loves that sort of thing, diversely. Her education was benefited by the riding, even though the riding itself actually just felt kind of a bit ugh. And Davina said to me, she's like, well, why don't you just let yourself off the hook with it? Why don't you kind of just lose the intention with it? Just let it go. Like, what if you just completely found another way of doing things? Like, go hacking. Don't worry about going into school for a while. And there was something in me that just sort of shifted. It was kind of like I just was okay suddenly with where we really were at rather than where we should have been, because she's fit and sound and all of those things. I could have been doing this, I could have been doing that, or I should have been doing this, I should have been doing that. In my head was the kind of the things I told myself. And I think this has really transitioned the way I feel about a lot of the things that I do with the horses, but also the horses that come to me. I try so hard now to be absolutely 100% okay with where we really are rather than where we maybe should be or could be. And that's shifted a lot for me because and with that horse, it has shifted so many things. Like, she's completely different. She's like, oh, good, you're actually here. You're not 2 steps ahead or trying to be somewhere where we're not. And that was what I've really, I think, yeah, shifted in this year. And I can't even remember your question to ask you it back.
It was, how
But
has your relationship with your horse changed? So yeah, I
okay,
think it's really
yeah,
changed. But it's been much more present. It sounds like.
definitely, and
Yeah,
much more, like much more honoring their reality.
that's a statement.
What about you? How has your relationship changed with Harley this year?
I was thinking about this, and for me, like I couldn't find the words, but I just kept thinking about this look that he has in his eye, and then I landed on what it was. I think our relationship has become much more multifaceted, and as a result, much more resilient. And I think it's because we've tried so many new things this year, partly because of the lorry, partly because I've just had a slightly different view on things. But like, we've walked hacked on the ground together, we've done clicker training, we've done more groundwork, we've done cross country, we've been arena eventing, we've been fun riding. Like, we've done all these different things that we've never done before, and they've all been really fun. And like, I just feel this sense of like, I ask him questions now, even on the ground in the stable, we've done different things that we haven't done before. And like, sometimes I feel so now, I ask him a question and he's just, there's a curiosity to it, to his answer, or his like, oh, what are we doing? Which is really nice and it's so joyful. And I'm sure part of that is him just growing into a horse. Not obviously he's a horse already, but from young horse to kind of established horse, there's an element of that this year. But also in myself, where I'm just like, there's an element to your point of like, why don't we just be curious about this instead of just trying to constantly trudge towards the answer to the question, you know? So that's been cool. Yeah.
Can I make a reflection on how I think your relationship has changed?
Oh gosh, yes, go on.
Because I've watched obviously you intently, and it's easy to analyze because you've only got one horse. So like
Yeah.
I can't. It's probably hard to see it with for what I'm doing because I'm always talking about lots of different horses. But for you,
Yeah.
I think that you have done a similar thing to what I have done, and really let go of any kind of like pressure of what other people think. And I
Yes.
know you've been
Which
working
is,
hard on
yeah,
that, but I think
I
that
have.
has changed your relationship with Harley because
Mm.
instead of, there were times, and I hope it's okay to say this, where, if he
Yeah.
got a bit spooky, that you would just try to kind of ride in that moment and fix it right there.
Yeah.
Whereas now, I think your relationship with him is so in tune that you see him go, it's the first, okay. And then you can notice rather than
Yeah.
it become the big thing. Like that video that I watched where you went and you showed him the cross country jumps before you jumped them. You wouldn't have
Yeah.
done that before. You wouldn't
No.
have seen that or thought to be that aware. And that's been really, really cool to watch. And I hope that people at
Yeah.
home that watch you, follow you, think the same because, yeah, it's great.
Well, interestingly, no, I totally agree, and thank you. When I wrote a different question down, which was, what are you letting go of in 2026? And you even used that language there. Because for me, and I've talked about it on the podcast, letting go of this linear idea of what training with horses is has like changed everything. Okay, so what are you going to let go of in 2026?
Hmm. Well, yeah, I'm going to let go of refusing to do things or not doing things if anxiety is the thing that is stopping me, you know?
Yes.
So
Yes.
I think that is the thing I'm going to really try very hard to do because there have been things that I've done this year with brands and like amazing opportunities with the new project that maybe if I had been letting my anxiety drive me, I would maybe have not done because like I paid a visit to this brand that is like I will announce it at some point soon, but I don't think younger me could ever have even considered that it was a possibility to work with a brand like this. And if I had let my anxiety drive me or let my, comparison drive me, I would never have said yes. And it's literally absolutely amazing that it's happening. So I'm going to try and continue to live by that. So I'm going to live by saying no, not, I'm trying to summarize it, but I'm not going to say no to things if anxiety is the reason I would say no.
Yeah. I really like that. I really, really like this for you. I just really feel that 2026 is going to be your year, and I think it's going to be really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really look forward to it being a bit easier because it's been really hard.
What I'm going to add is, or maybe it is letting go as well. I mean, either way, add or let go. A bit more rest. I think we talked so much about it, and when I think about all the guests that we've had on the podcast, not every single one fits into this, but some of our most profound conversations have actually been around listening to yourself and your gut. I think about Sasha Hargreaves when I think of that,
Mm-hmm.
and listening to what you need. And I think about Maisie Hill when I think of that, and adding more rest. And, this past weekend, just like working yourself to the point where you literally are in bed for 3 days with flu is just not cool. And I really felt in my body, I felt if my body could talk to me that weekend, it would be like, you have not set me up to fight this off in a good way.
Mm-hmm.
Not in what you've eaten, not in how you've lived for the past year. And I go to the gym and I sleep a lot and I da 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 da, but there's lots of things I don't do. And I think so adding a bit of rest and just a bit of slowing down a bit more, I think is a big one. That's my big one.
And I
Yeah.
think, I maybe will comment on that as well, because I think that this is, the way I would look at it is you don't just necessarily want to add resting and then
Mm.
continue at 100 miles an hour the rest of the time. I think one of the most powerful things that you can learn to do is to slow down all the time
Yes.
so that
Yeah.
everything is more sustainable. And I think one of the questions that my therapist taught me to ask myself, I struggled a lot this year with waking up feeling very strange. It was adrenaline, turns out, because I thought it
Mm.
was cortisol and I was waking up cortisol-y and all of that stuff. But it was actually adrenaline because my cortisol's really low. And so I've got in this really good habit now of when I wake up every morning, sometimes I don't need to, but most of the time when I do feel the need to, I will ask myself, what do I need? Like, what do
Mm.
I what do I need today? Because quite often you will know when you first wake up what you need. So sometimes it might be I need more sleep. So that
Right,
is
right,
then
right.
saying, okay, I'm going to prioritize half an hour. I'm going to sleep for half an hour longer on purpose, or I'm going to make sure that I factor in some rest during my day because I know that I'm very tired, or I need more breakfast. I need to do this today. I need to do that for myself. And it's like checking in with yourself first thing or checking in with yourself repeatedly throughout the day. It doesn't just have to be first thing. For me, it was really relevant that it was first thing in the morning because that's when I was often feeling a lot of my symptoms. But maybe for you, it wouldn't be first thing. Maybe for you, it would be
Mm.
at 12 o'clock. What do I need today? And
Mm.
maybe that's
Great
something that a
question.
practice that we can, take into 2026.
That is a great question to ask yourself. And I often picture you. I'm a visual learner, so I remember images and stuff. And I say that like it's profound. Of course, everyone remembers images. I just mean in the way that I learn. And I always remember there was a video on your Instagram of you like rushing. I think you had a cup of tea or something, and then you slowed down with the cup of tea, and
Yeah.
you were demonstrating, or like rushing to get a head collar and then slowing down, and you were demonstrating the need to just slow everything down. And I sometimes catch myself doing that when I'm running around the yard like 500 miles an hour. And it's funny because I never do it in front of Harley because I'm like, well, I don't want to affect him with my rushing. And it's like, why is it okay to affect yourself and not your horse? That's not okay.
Mm.
So yeah, very interesting. I love that. I love
one
that as a
one of
question.
the most powerful things we can do for our nervous system is to learn to slow down.
Yeah. And also be okay with the consequences of that because I
Mm.
think if you, well, in any job really, but I think sometimes when like today, for example, where I've come back from an illness and I'm really not at 100% and I have to go slower because my brain and my body are telling me I have to, the uncomfortable feeling I have with that of like, but so and so needs such and such, and I have to get such and such done by such and such time, and then just being like, so you can't do that today.
And
Is
I think the thing with it actually, often it's not that we have to do less. That may be part of it. You know, we that may be something that you need to do, is to actually do less things. But for me, I'm not less productive. I'm just
it's
doing the
powerful.
things slowly. Like,
How
I don't
how does
brush
that
my
work
teeth.
for you?
Well, like, so, okay, let's talk about brushing your teeth, right?
Yeah.
I brush my teeth for the same amount of time, but I do it in a far less frantic way.
Okay. Yes.
I make the dinner. It still takes just as long to fry the onions, but the way that I get to that is different.
Yes. Okay. I see what you're saying. Yes. 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 I like
I drink
this.
my coffee in the same amount of time, but the way I drink my coffee, I notice it. I taste it.
Yeah.
I'm present. And I chronically rushed through life. We spoke about this with Nikki Penny. I felt like I chronically rushed, and I didn't notice things like the seasons. I didn't notice autumn. I didn't notice when things changed because I wasn't paying attention. Everything was fast. And I have been forced, as I've said, to slow down and notice. And it's life changing because I don't have to do things fast. And it still comes back, and my partner says to me, "Don't Miriam it because I'm going too quickly." But I really do think that's one of the most profound things that you could give to somebody, is to just show them that they can slow down and they can still be productive, but they can slow down.
Yeah. I really like this.
I My next question was, what goal did you have this year and did you achieve it?
I wanted to do Quest this year, and I didn't really succeed. I I just never quite felt, and my mindset has changed on this actually towards the end of the year, but I never felt quote unquote ready to do affiliated, which is really silly because like what does that even mean? I was worried about people seeing my score and like what that would mean, and that was silly as well. So I think actually that represents its own shift in my mindset of like, I'm going out in January, I'm doing a quest because I don't care. I don't care what the judges think. I mean, in terms of the overarching experience, I don't care what other people think. I don't care if we're great or good or middling or whatever. We're just there to have fun. So that was one of the goals. What other goals did I have? The stay away camp was one. I actually have had that for a couple of years, but I didn't make it the year before. But I did go to one this year, and that was, I mean, that was a whole experience in itself of such growth. Like, started out with a pretty low, ended up falling off, that whole thing, was ready to go home, called Miri, was like, can't do it. And by the end, you know, I just felt really confident. And I think about going back next year, and I think that's going to be a very cool experience. Same venue, 1 year on. And I already feel so different about being there. So that I think will be a very cool thing. Those were my big ones, I think. What were yours?
My goals? Yeah. Well, no, I haven't achieved them. And I am so comfortable with that because of that shift I was talking about with, you know, like
Yes.
how has my relationship changed? Because also, I think a lot of my goals were very like material in some ways. Like they were like, go and do X with,
Yeah.
you know, compete at this level, do this. And it's just been irrelevant. I've really struggled with the consistency of training my horses, and the facility that I've had has been a big part of that. And like I've said, it's absolutely supported what I've been doing with client horses, like the groundwork and the backing and the, you know, getting restarted. But when you're at a point where you've done all of that and your horse is very established, it's been very difficult to kind of go any further than that. And I know people obviously with you will have people with one horse who would be like, well, I don't have an arena at all, and they manage to do what they're going to do. But I will say is, I don't have one horse, I have 14. And when I have half an hour to do something with one of my own horses, it takes a significant amount of effort and time to take that horse somewhere else to train it. And that's, I think, a
It's
lot
all
of the time
relative.
how people manage. Exactly. So it's one of those situations where I have had goals and I've had to just forget they were ever a goal, really. And I think my goals have become different now. You know, I've wanted to learn different ways of doing things, and my goals have become a feeling rather than a thing.
Oh, that is such a good sentence. That is such a good sentence.
Because I went to some shows and I did some things, and actually, the thing that came out on top of all of it was, how did that feel? Did it feel good? Or did it feel hard? Did it feel tense? Or did it feel full of ease? And I think I achieved it in some moments, and then I didn't in others. And I'm okay with that. Yeah, it's been I've really felt a shift in myself this year, I think. And I think that has been down to that nervous system regulation that I've learnt about. And I've not achieved it. I've not like completed nervous system regulation. But I think one of the biggest things I've done is realize how dysregulated I was.
Yep. What you just said, I know it was a joke, but it really reminds me of those skits on TikTok where it's like the type A girl goes for therapy and she's like, so I tried the resting thing that you recommended and it's not for me, but like, thanks so much. Or she's like, yeah, I did that. Tick. Next.
Yeah, no.
Oh, but yeah,
And that
I
comes
hear you.
back, doesn't it, to that, like, life is to be experienced.
Mm.
It it is all, and I know that sounds quite kind of, I don't know, wishy-washy, but like, if you can grasp what I mean by that, then I think that you're with me. Like, it's not meant to be easy, or it's not meant to be all fun. It is about experiencing all of those things and being okay with those experiences. You know, that's I think a really big thing. And horses, I think, magnify that so exponentially. It's massive.
I mean, that was very profound, but I'm cracking up because you've just picked up Ralph and you were like, you were like, life is to be experienced and those experiences are to be felt. And Ralph just goes up your neck and onto your face with his tongue. Hilarious. Okay, so unless you have any other burning questions, I have a kind of final question for you. I thought it would be fun to talk a little bit about the new place. Also, well, okay, I don't want to jump from one thing to another, but I wanted to ask you a bit about what's going to be there and like a bit more, pull a bit more out of you of like what's going to be there. But my first question, because we've never actually talked about this, and I'm sure that the answer is cost, but your arena is going to be an outdoor arena, right?
Yeah.
Or did you explore like roof situations, or was it just like not a conversation?
I mean, gosh, what a dream that would be to have a roof.
Mm,
For me, it is, the reality is cost.
yeah.
But also the house is so old that it would be you'd have a planning nightmare,
Oh, fine, fine, fine.
essentially, because you have to
Okay.
have consent to do all of the different things that they've been doing to the property. And so we can extend our arena within the planning situation, but we can't we wouldn't be able to put a roof in it. I could have put a roof in the barn, but I
Mm.
wouldn't it wouldn't have been very big, and then I
Wait,
wouldn't have had space for stables and da 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 da.
you could have put a roof in the barn. What do you mean?
Oh god, that's not English. I could have put an arena in the barn.
Oh, sorry. Okay. I was again visual thinker. I was imagining like an indoor arena within a barn, like Russian doll
What?
style, and I was just like, "What?"
No, sorry, my brain is melted. Yeah,
Yeah,
we could have put an
we could
arena
go on.
in that big barn, but we're putting the stables in there because otherwise it just wouldn't really have made sense. We would have been able to have a training facility for no horses because there would have been no space for the horses.
What a unique selling point.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so I mean, how much do you want to share? Can you talk us through what you're going to have, or do you want to save it for
Yeah.
YouTube? More
No,
YouTube.
no, it's okay. I think so. I think it's
Yeah.
cool. So, and I have already spoken quite a lot about it on YouTube already anyway. So, and as these, as we go on, the more
More
we're
episodes.
sharing more and more as we go on in the process. So, we're going to have 14 stables in the internal barn, and then we're going to have three. I don't know what that was. So we're going to have 14 stables outside, 3 stables, and then we're going to have a pen, like for my retired horses. So there'll be like a loose pen in one area as well. And
Like
then,
a big one, like a big, like a barn type situation.
yeah,
One
like a
giant
giant
stable.
stable. Yeah.
Cute. Okay.
And then we're also going to have a round pen. Now, this I haven't shared about really. This is incredibly exciting, and one thing I don't think I've realized will be how much it will change the way I do things. So at the moment we just have an arena, and there are times with young horses where I have found I feel very I think a dog might have gone in a bin. I think that's what the noise was.
The stories you
Welcome.
tell yourself to convince you it's not a ghost. No, I'm joking.
Yeah.
I'm just now imagining one of your dogs like clamber, like bum up, just like a duck,
No, I think it's a
paddling.
bag on a bin, and I think the dog might
Oh,
be. Anyway, all is fine. I know what's in the bag. So what was in that bin bag? That anyway. Oh my god, I digress. Um,
round
and
pen.
so and actually, round pen. There's a lady that I follow on Instagram called Featherlight Horsemanship. I don't know if you follow her. She's amazing. She's like this. She's from Holland, and I actually had the opportunity to see her at the horsemanship showcase the other
Oh, that's
day,
cool.
and I watched her do one of her problem solving, and she does this like I didn't I kind of didn't know what it was, and I kind of thought it might be a bit about stressing a horse out to the point of them like giving in and then you letting you ride them. That was what, because when you're on Instagram you see like the beginning and the end, and you see this very traumatized horse, and then you see her riding this horse, and you're like, how is this physically possible? But I got to watch her, and she had this very very tight tense pony, and she uses a round pen. That's why this is relevant. And she worked with him loose to start with, and the communication she was having with this pony was bonkers. And I was like, that is so interesting, because there have been times when I'm working with my horses in our bigger arena and I'm like, wow, okay, the connection is really, really good. But then there are times where the space is just that bit too big and they just get that little bit away from me, and I'm like, okay, well, I've lost the connection and now that's very difficult. And she worked with this pony, and I think that having a round pen, which will have a roof, which I think is the thing I'm so excited about, so I will always have an indoor space, is enormously cool, because I'm going to get this opportunity to diversify how I do things. And I'm really, really looking forward to that. Like, I'm really, really looking forward to that.
I am really interested in this because because I don't have actually any interaction with round pens, but when I think about them, two things come to mind, and they both have sort of like relative negative connotations. One is racing, where you just like have a 2-year-old tacked up, just going round and round and round and round, basically, as a way to start them. And the other is like join up and the understanding of what some of that can do, which is like chase, 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 flood a horse, and like that perception of join up, which is like actually not the positive horsemanship. So I'm just really interested, and I like hearing about this lady because I haven't seen her stuff. I'll have to look her up. But like, when you think about working in the round pen, like, what do you imagine? That's my question.
It's about proximity, and about also having a focused environment. So indoor schools are very good for this. So if they're in the right position, they can kind of create a real safety in controlling some of the environmental factors that sometimes we have in an outdoor school. So like the weather, for example, can be quite a contributing factor to a horse's mental or physical state. And I think that is one of the things that a round pen allows, is a kind of, well, or especially a round pen with a roof, is it's a combination between having that smaller space and having the protection from the elements. And for me, I think I don't know wholly how it will change the way I do things, but I'm very interested in working with horses at liberty, like loose, and them having the opportunity to go away from you to a degree but within a space where they don't go so far that if they have no knowledge of how to be connected to you in that way, that they're completely lost. Because when you first get started with liberty, the reality of that is actually it's very difficult. Whereas if you're in a smaller space, they can lose focus, they can go off and lick the walls and do whatever they need to do, sniff the floor, stick their head over the gate, whatever it might be, but they're in that smaller amount of space rather than a whole arena.
I think of it a bit like going for, I don't know, an after school snack with your child and you're in a really noisy cafe versus having that snack at your own kitchen table where it's quiet. Like in the noisy cafe, like you can't really hear each other and there's so many distractions and like there's so much other things to do and maybe you're a bit tired because you've had a long day at school, and like whereas when you're at the kitchen table, like you can hear each other clearly, you can see each other clearly, you're just paying attention a bit more. Like
100%.
I wonder if it's a bit like that. So
Definitely.
fun. And even I just imagine even being able to go in there and do your groundwork when it's not like tipping it down with rain, as in you don't have to stand in that tipping down rain, is going to be quite transformative just for you on a personal level.
100%. I mean, you guys must be sick
Yeah.
of watching me ride a horse in the rain, being like, oh, here I am again, just struggling on. And, you know, as I've got older and I've worked with a lot of dysregulated horses, and I've come to realize that actually it is fairly rare in those situations that you get very much from that situation in either party, either you or them. There's not really much to be gained when the weather is that bad. So yeah, I think that's going to be very transformative, definitely.
My last two questions, although we shall continue our conversations into how the new place is going, is how big is your round pen and how big will your outdoor arena be? I'm trying to get a sense of like scale.
So actually the round pen is not going to be huge. I think it's about 11 meters across. So it's about the size of a lunge line. If you were to lunge,
Oh, okay, yeah.
but you've got to remember, like 11 meters across is not the same as the circle that the horse would be going on, if that makes sense. But I'm not really going to be using it
Yes.
for lunging.
Yeah.
It's not really the point of it.
Yeah.
And that the arena, now here we go, drum roll please, is going to be a full 20 meters by 60 meters, like an actual Olympic sized dressage arena.
Ooh,
Yeah.
love it.
To make a comparison, my current arena is not quite 20 meters by 40 meters. So for me, it's going to be very, very different
Massive.
to have that
Yeah.
proper amount of space. What were you were going to ask me about stables? What did you want to know about the stables?
Yeah, no, I just wanted to know the size, and I know that you also, well, yes, the size, and then you have swan necks, right? And a little window. Is that right? Tell us about the stables.
Every stable will have a window, and I haven't released this yet, but I have actually designed the stables specifically so that all of the horses can interact over the stable walls. That I will not describe any further and will leave to YouTube, because it's going to be a really cool thing for you guys to see the design, because I've never seen anyone with stables like that before.
But I also just want to labour the point of how game changing that is. Imagine you have a horse who's looking down the lens of 3 to 6 months of box rest. You're not allowed to take that horse out to go and see friends, and actually bringing friends over to their door can change the dynamic. I've tried that with my horse and it sometimes just gets a bit weird. Imagine being able to take your horse to Miri for rehab, knowing that every day that they're there, any hour of the day, they can lean over and scratch their friend. Like that is, I think that is 10 out of 10. Sorry.
I've also
Anyway.
done it. No, absolutely. But I've also done it because horses aren't really designed to be in stables.
No.
But there comes an element where they are a necessity. We designed them for a reason, right? People wanted to have horses in stables for a reason. And for me, that reason is to give those horses their own space. to give them their own time, to give them their own place to rest, because some of the horses that I have that come through our doors aren't really able to be sociable yet. They don't really know how, or they, like you say, they need to have some time in the stable. And I wanted to create an environment where they can be in a stable while not feeling like they have the usual restrictions of a stable, i.e., not having the space to talk to each other, not having the space to be able to see each other. They can have that restful, peaceful environment while still gaining the interaction with others, basically. And that is, I hope, what I have managed to create within what we've done.
Do you have any stables that for horses who can't be sociable or find it really hard, where they don't have to like touch any of the horses, or are you just like, this is part of the package?
Yeah, I have got a few. And the nice thing has been is with the company I've worked with, I've spoken to them and I've said, if I find that I need more partitions that are fully, a bit more restrictive, then can I do that? And they've said, yes, I can. I could change out the top partition, like the top of the partition, basically, without it being too expensive. I'd really like not to do that, and I'm really hopeful that horses will come and they will be, because the shape of them is not like fully open, so it's not like they would just be able to have their head over at all parts for each horse, but there is a part where they can and a part where they would have some privacy from each other. Also, the stables are really quite big. Like, a lot of them are like 16 foot long by 14 foot
Wow,
wide.
that is
Yeah,
big.
I really wanted to have, like a standard stable is 12 by 12, and that is
Mm.
okay, but I want to have stables where horses can like live, like they can like feel like they're not in a stable. They're kind of like in this space where they've got space to go to their water, they've got space to go to the toilet, they've got space to lie down without it being a kind of, I don't know, like a kind of postage stamp, I guess. I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
really interested, and I don't know everything in this situation, and I'm really working it out as I go. And I'm hoping that I've done a good job of working this out. I might have got it terribly wrong. You'll see me next year being like, it's a disaster. The horses hate it. But I hope I'm wrong. I hope that by leaning into her dynamic, I have done something special. Because as well, where I am at the moment, our stables have windows between the partitions in every stable, and I've had horses settle far more quickly in stables like that than I've ever seen before.
Well, I don't think you will be wrong. I think you'll be right. And I am so excited to just keep talking about the development of it. Oh, I just can't wait to like come and see it. And yeah, it's just very cool. I think it's very, very cool. So thanks for sharing. And if you haven't watched it already, Miri is already releasing this on YouTube and they're really good and they're a lovely insight. And for me, it's very much, I'm living the adult Pippa Funnel Stud Farm Inheritance game by just watching Miri build this amazing yard. It's very cool. So, yeah, follow along. Oh, this has been really fun. I feel like we needed this.
I think we needed this. I hope you guys enjoyed it too. I've really enjoyed having a really proper catch up. Are you planning a quiet Christmas, or what are your Christmassy plans this year?
Relatively quiet. We have a yard hack on the 21st. It's really fun. Everyone's going to bring, there's a couple of pubs we can ride to from our yard. So some people are going to come on foot, some people are going to come on their horses. Some of the horses find it hard to be in a big group, so they're going to come on foot. But there's a pub we go to that has a huge common, like right off it. So we often go and then we all stand there and we have drinks. And then we're going to go back to the yard and have like, Hannah's going to host us in her home, which is attached to the yard, and have like a little Christmas party. And I just think those things are actually really important for like community and taking stock. And like, some people on that yard have had horrible years and some of us have had really good years, and I think bringing all those people together is a really important thing. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. What about
Lovely.
you? Mm.
Well, I'll be mucking out on Christmas Day. Oh, we had so hoped we were going to get to move before Christmas this year. And I
Oh.
can't, Christmas is not romantic for me. Christmas kind of sucks at the moment. Like, our house is little, so we can't really fit a Christmas tree, and it's not. I don't feel full of Christmas joy. I was thinking about it. I was thinking today, like, I wonder if I could get one of those really little ones to have on our coffee table, just so that we, we don't have much space, but we want to
Yeah.
feel Christmas joy. But also, it's been so difficult because we've known we're moving. We've kind of, you end up starting to kind of organize things, and then spaces don't look like they should, and like we're gonna get to have a gym, which is really cool when we move. Like we're gonna have some,
Wow.
yeah, we're gonna have, yeah. Well, there's a barn that they were gonna knock down, and then they didn't. So we've ended up with a space that we didn't realize we were going to have. Yeah, and we don't want to have any more stables. So we're going to put like a floor
George
in
is
it. It's
like,
kind of,
I'll have it.
yeah, it's kind of George's project. And so like behind me now in my spare room is now a rowing machine because he's found it on Facebook Marketplace, and it was really, I actually found it, and it was really, really brand new, and these people just had bought it and not used it. And so he was like, well, I've got to go and buy it. So the other day he went and bought a rowing machine. So like there is a rowing machine behind me. So like Christmas is kind of one of these, this year it kind of just feels like, okay, well, let's do it. And then next year we'll actually get, and I was talking to my mum today, and she was like, well, next year we'll be in your house, won't we? And George and I were talking about it, and how many people we'll be able to fit, and how big of a table we'll need to have. And, this move is not just going to be about having amazing stables. This is going to be about living a life. Yeah, yeah. So this year is one more year of not that much fun, so that next year we can have a very different experience. And I can't bloody wait.
Cheers to that.
Do you want to know also what cheers will be to?
Yeah.
Is to me not having the most dog shit Wi-Fi on planet Earth, and you being able to see me clearly from an office with actual internet. Because to give you guys some background, this sounds impeccable, doesn't it? You guys are there thinking, what do you mean Wi-Fi problems? When I say Rhi has been dealing with having a conversation with a blurry floating head for the last however long we've been recording this podcast, I am not even over exaggerating it. So here's to Wi-Fi, here's to 2026, here's to having a slightly easier bloody time.
Yeah. There was a very funny moment earlier in this podcast that you would have missed when George appeared, Miri's fiance, and Miri's in like a beige room, and the door is open, and then the room behind it is beige. That's all I can see. It's just blurry. And George is just like in a black hoodie, just kind of bouncing across the space behind her, dancing, and all I can see is this like blurry dancing blob. Anyway, very funny. But yes, it will be really fun to be able to see your face and your facial expressions and hear you in real time. That will be wonderful.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, as always, thank you so much for being here. This isn't, in fact, the last episode of this season. There are two more. So stick around for those. But thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting this podcast. It means a huge amount to us. And we will see you for next time. Thank you so much for listening. Bye bye for now.
Bye bye.